Thank you world for tuning in to day 2 of Tony Hawktober.
I hate this fucking thing! Die! Oh, you son of a slut!
Gosh darn it, I'm freaking out, man. It's a new feature this year.
After a phenomenal effort with the initial Underground title, 2004 saw Neversoft return with a direct sequel that tweaks and continues to add modes and features to the already jam-packed game we covered yesterday. And nothing has been replaced. We still have all of our favourite creation modes along with the new option of Create a Graphic. According to this game, skate rat punks are nothing but vandalising animals, so of course, what better compliment than a custom graffiti tag?
What? It's part of the game!
I mean, it's cool, but a useless feature up there with tiptoe shoes in the Wrath of Cortex. Why not spend the time fleshing out Create a Trick more? We can still only create air tricks, and this feature is entirely forgotten about, unfortunately. Create a Park is also of a lower quality. There are a lot more interesting additions like speed boosts, breakable props and some new items, but it's also missing a lot of others. It's not terrible, just a step down. Create a Skater is preserved though, so that's the main thing. With plenty of new stuff and some older items crossing over, by far my favourite feature here is iToy Cameo. Unlike other versions of this feature, using your iToy camera allows you to take a picture of your face and use it for your skater. How could I resist? I had so much fun messing about with this, and believe it or not, it still beats modern face mapping technology. Kind of.
Well, now that we're scanned into the game, we can officially start the story.
Following the events of the previous game, we're kidnapped from skating and taken to some rundown warehouse with a cast of other pros. And Eric Sparrow, apparently. They really didn't revoke his status after finding out he was a fake? Or is our hero just so chill that he didn't even leak the real Hawaii footage? God, that pissed me off when I was 10. Anyway, we're confronted by Bam and Tony Hawk as they introduce the World Destruction Tour, an international team battle where the only rules are to earn points and essentially commit terrorist acts.
You know, this is what really pisses me off about video games. The main reason Underground Story featured a custom character was to prevent any potential damage to real-life pro skaters' reputations being showcased around criminal acts in the game. Oh, but Bam and friends derailing trains, blowing up construction sites and resurrecting the fucking dead? Totally fine. Boys will be boys after all.
So that's the main plot here, spanning 6 locations. Each area features various mini-goals and challenges to complete. Everything from your classic gameplay to races, spray painting billboards, and taking out entire city blocks. To help us, we can find various secret characters within the levels that each have their own unique historical or racial stereotyping. So white people will get offended on behalf of black people, but laughing at Australian Aborigines in go-karts is fine apparently. You fucking racists. But as you can see, some of these characters are in vehicles. Compared to last time, this is an improvement as they can still skate around the levels just fine, but I'm still not a fan, as amusing as Steve-O on a mechanical bull may be. In case you couldn't tell from that and what else you've seen so far, this game takes some serious influence from Jackass and Viva La Bam, which was just starting its 3rd season at the time of release. I honestly think this is fine. It's never going to have the longevity or value the previous game story had, but I think it's only fitting as Tony Hawk games and the entire MTV boom into the new millennium certainly played hand in hand. But saying that, the game really suffered. With this game show style concept, objectives are far too basic and never really offer much challenge. Not when I first played them and not now after more than a decade of playing them. They're just far too simple. Spray over these 5 tags, do this one move, go here, trigger this cutscene. It's just not rewarding gameplay. The points serve as nothing more than an arbitrary value to the difficulty of each objective, but there is no reason and no value to anything. Attempting a group challenge that requires multiple stunts to complete is no more rewarding than throwing shrimp at lifeguards, you fucking racists. And as for the main theme of destruction, well, it is kind of interesting the first time you see it. For 2004, I'd personally never seen Levolution before, but it really doesn't change much. Let's take a look, shall we? You blow up a construction site, all you get is a half pipe. Derail a train and destroy a German pub, all you get is a half pipe. Let a crazy bull escape onto the streets, and you get multiple half pipes. Wow! And all the others offer is some zombies on the streets, a clear path to skate down, and a fucking zoo enclosure for the Aborigine. You're fucking racists! That's it. When your main gimmick is this underwhelming, why even bother?
I have to ask myself that sometimes.
The big theme on the channel this year has been tone, and coming off of a fairly down-to-earth and semi-serious 8 out of 10, this game decided to pass up on that and go full Looney Tunes. It's comical and fun, there is nothing wrong with that of course, but it gets old. As for the story itself, it's fine enough. We're forced onto Tony's team, which I always thought was kind of shit, even as a kid. Why not give me two different sides of the story, like a good and evil path, but no, that'd require integrity. Everything story-wise is decided by the Wheel of Loogies, so members are swapped, eliminated, or just plain humiliated throughout. As the teams venture around the world, they're stalked by some snotty producer, Nigel Beaverhausen. So you can just tell the maturity level we're at here. Towards the end of the game, Bam claims his team is well into the lead before an equaliser is drawn. So this is supposed to be some crazy impossible stunt that evens the game out, but it lasts all of 25 seconds, is somehow tamer than other missions, and involves another helicopter jump, far less impressive than seen in the previous game. This just comes back to what I'm saying about the points and overall story having no value and no level of seriousness put into it when it starts to drag amazing games down. The game ends off in Skatopia with Bigfoot on his motorized skateboard, Bam igniting literal explosives, and then us escaping through the fires to win the World Destruction Tour. Some kindergarten humour and we're out. I must admit, I enjoyed playing this when I was a kid, but never as much as the first Underground title. I was a huge fan of the Jackass and Viva La Bam crowd at the time, but even through all of that, I could see this game's story mode just couldn't compare. For completing the story, we unlocked the Pro Skater level, some trifecta mess across Mayan civilization, hell, space, and time itself. With no extra objectives and boring as fuck to skate on, the only enjoyment I ever got out of this was breaking through the environment and exploring. And of course, the secret skaters. This year's cheap advertisement award goes to Shrek. He farts and burps. What a meme.
But we're not done yet. Thug 2 introduces something so simple and so obvious, yet such a genius idea that it's fucking wonderful. Classic mode.
Spanning all of the levels from the main game, as well as returning levels from the first 3 Tony Hawk titles, Classic Mode delivers classic goals we all know and love. Yes, the formula was worn into the ground, but this is still such a great addition. It's simple to add some extra items and objectives, it's an excuse to get some classic levels in, doubling the amount in the game, and most importantly, it gives hardcore older fans of the series some nostalgic vibes, and gives you essentially 2 games for the price of 1. Fucking perfect! And I'm happy to say that the mode is still fun to this day. But what about the game as a whole? I think my biggest gripe here has always been the theme. It was worth a try, especially given its period relevancy, but it didn't work unfortunately, even back then. While everything from controls, creation, and the amount of content here is still good, everything has taken a hit and ultimately suffers in my opinion because of the sketchy tone. So Tony Hawk's Underground 2 gets 6 out of 10. The game is enjoyable, of course, and I'll always enjoy returning to it, but I just don't feel it was the right direction after the previous title. It's a huge shame that immediately after what I would call a hit, for the quality to decline so sharply.
Not since the very first Pro Skater has the series been this low on the scale, so tomorrow we'll find out if American Wasteland revives its status or just continues to bury it deeper. But until then, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe and share. I'm Square Eye Jack and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.